Here's the truth no one wants to admit. People rarely value what's right in front of them. They take your presence for granted, convinced you'll always be there. But the second you leave, the air changes. The silence you leave behind, it's loud. The space you once filled, it starts to feel empty, colder, unfamiliar. And then it happens. Your absence becomes impossible to ignore. See, most people don't realize what they had until it's gone. It's only when you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop proving your worth, that something shifts. Suddenly, they can't stop thinking about you. Not because you said something, not because you begged for their attention, but because you disappeared. This isn't just about walking away, it's about reclaiming your power. It's about showing them, without a single word, that you were never the one who needed them. They were the ones who needed you. Moving on isn't weakness. It's not surrender. It's the strongest move you can make. It forces them to sit with the reality they refused to face when you were around. The absence of your energy, your presence, your attention, it creates a void that no one else can fill. And now, they're obsessed. Not because you tried to make them feel your loss, but because they finally have to. That's the paradox. When you were there, they had options. They felt safe knowing you'd always care. But when you're gone, they realize no one else gives them what you did. No one else carries your energy, your presence, your value. Now, they start to replay every moment, every conversation, every time they pushed you away, thinking you'd always return. But you won't. And that's what haunts them. Your power isn't in fighting for their attention. It's in removing yours. It's in moving forward like they never existed. That's when they start to wonder, start to regret, start to obsess. Because nothing messes with the mind more than someone who once cared, suddenly acting like they don't. But listen, this isn't about revenge. This isn't about playing games. It's about you. It's about your growth, your confidence, your ability to stand tall and know your worth. And if you truly understand this, if you fully embrace this power, then something incredible happens. You stop craving their validation. You stop waiting for them to wake up. And in that moment, you unlock something most people never do: true freedom. Because when you move on with confidence, the universe moves with you. New doors open. New people enter your life. Suddenly, everything you lost is replaced with something far greater. So don't just walk away. Walk towards something better. Now, if you're ready to take control of your life, if you're ready to step into your power and never be taken for granted again, then hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a video that fuels your strength and confidence. And I want you to comment below with this powerful affirmation: I am valuable. Write it. Own it. Speak it into existence. Because once you believe it, the world has no choice but to follow. Now, let's dive deeper, because by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly why moving on is the most powerful move you'll ever make. Let's begin. 1. The void they never saw coming. They didn't think much of it when you walked away. Maybe they even shrugged, convinced it was just a temporary shift, one they could adjust to without much effort. Life would go on, right? But then something strange happened. The space you once occupied wasn't just empty, it was haunting. The text they expected each morning. Silence. The steady presence they had grown used to. Gone. The way you made them feel seen, valued, and secure. Now just a memory. Here's the thing about absence. It doesn't just create space, it creates a void. And voids have a way of amplifying what's missing. At first, they might have tried to distract themselves, filling their days with noise, other people, meaningless conversations. But no matter how much they try to outrun it, they keep coming back to one undeniable truth. Something is missing, and that something is you. There's a reason people only realize value when it's gone. It's the same reason a room can feel too quiet after a song stops playing. The sound was once background noise, taken for granted, barely noticed, until it's gone. And suddenly, the silence is deafening. You see, when you were around, they had a certain confidence, a casual assurance that someone cared for them deeply, consistently. They felt a sense of security, even if they never acknowledged it. But now, that comfort is gone, and they're left with a weight they never expected to carry. The harder they try to ignore it, the more it lingers, pulling their thoughts back to you. And here's what they never understood. You didn't walk away out of anger. You didn't disappear out of spite. You left because staying meant sacrificing a part of yourself, because your presence should never be something to beg for. It should be intentional, appreciated, valued. There's a line from Marcus Aurelius that says, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And that's exactly what you did. You chose to live, to stop waiting, to stop clinging to something that no longer served you. Was it uncomfortable? Of course, growth always is. But staying in a place where you're not valued isn't comfort, it's self-betrayal. Think about fire. It doesn't beg wood to keep burning. It consumes what it needs and moves on, leaving behind only ashes. That's exactly what you did. You burned through the illusion that they would always appreciate you. And when there was nothing left but the truth, you walked away. Now they're left standing in the ashes, trying to make sense of it all. They might not admit it, but deep down, they feel it. The absence of your energy, your kindness, your presence, it's irreplaceable. They might try to fill it with someone else, but people aren't interchangeable. You weren't just a space filler, you were the meaning behind the moment, the calm in the chaos, the gravity that kept things balanced. And now, that gravity is gone. Here's the irony. The moment you let go, you became unforgettable. Not because you wanted to be, not because you forced it, but because your absence spoke louder than any words ever could. It told them something they weren't ready to hear. I respect myself too much to stay where I'm not valued. And now, as they sit with their thoughts, trying to piece together what happened, they finally understand. Your silence, your decision to walk away, it wasn't weakness, it was strength. Because sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is simply to move on. 2. The memories that refuse to die. At first, they thought moving on wouldn't change much. Life would continue, days would roll on, and your absence would be nothing more than a minor shift, something easy to adjust to. But reality has a way of proving people wrong. Because now, something has changed. The weight of your absence has started to grow in their mind. Every small moment, every simple kindness, every word of encouragement you once gave, it's all coming back, but with a clarity they never had before. They remember how you truly listened, not because you had to, but because you cared. They recall the advice you gave, not to control them, but to guide them towards something better. And then there was your quiet strength, being there, steady, asking for nothing in return. At the time, they didn't think much of it. They assumed it was just how things were. But now those simple gestures have become irreplaceable. It's funny how the mind works. When you're around, people get used to your presence, your actions, your words, your patience. It all blends into the background noise of life. But the moment you're gone, those same moments start to shine like beacons. They miss the reassurance of your words, the wisdom you carried so effortlessly, the way you made them feel safe, even in silence. There's a saying from Seneca, "What was hard to bear is sweet to remember." And now, they're experiencing that firsthand. When you were there, they overlooked the depth of what you offered. Now, in your absence, they feel it more than ever. Imagine them sitting alone, lost in thought. The memories start to creep in. The way you laughed at their jokes, the way you showed up when no one else did, the way you had this rare ability to make them feel understood. It's not about grand gestures. It never was. It was always the little things, the things they once took for granted. And that's the thing about people who move with authenticity. Their impact lingers long after they've left the room. You never had to force your presence. You never had to demand appreciation. You simply lived in alignment with your values, and that left a mark deeper than any words ever could. Now, they're feeling the ripple effect. They're realizing how rare it is to find someone who gives without expectations, who supports without needing recognition, who brings stability without making a show of it. They didn't see it before, but now it's all they can think about. But here's the difference. You're not waiting for them to see it. You're not looking back, hoping they come to their senses. You've moved forward, embracing the stoic truth that the only thing you control is yourself, your actions, your growth, your peace. There's a lesson in this, one most people never learn. True power isn't in holding on. It's in letting go and allowing life to unfold as it should. You didn't chase. You didn't beg to be valued. You simply left, and in doing so, you became unforgettable. And now, no matter how much they try to distract themselves, they can't outrun the memories. They can't erase the mark you left. Because some people don't realize they had something rare until it becomes nothing more than a memory they can't escape. And that's exactly what you've become, the one memory they can't seem to let go of. 3. The weight of regret always comes. Too late. Regret has a way of creeping in, doesn't it? It starts as a whisper, something faint, easy to ignore. But then it grows, a quiet shadow stretching longer with each passing day. They see glimpses of you, flashes of your life from a distance. Maybe it's a photo of you, standing tall, confidence radiating from your presence. Maybe it's the way mutual friends speak about you, how you've been thriving, moving forward with a grace they now find irresistible. And suddenly, it hits them. What they once had, what they once overlooked, was something extraordinary. At first, regret is subtle, a passing thought, a moment of hesitation, but it doesn't stay quiet for long. It starts asking questions they don't want to answer. Why didn't I see their worth when I had the chance? What if I had been more present, fought harder, tried to understand them better? The questions replay like a broken record, each one heavier than the last. They try to distract themselves, to drown out the noise. But regret isn't easily silenced. It lingers, casting long shadows over their days and creeping into their nights. That's the thing about losing someone of real value. You don't realize the depth of your mistake until it's too late to fix it. They look at you now, and the difference is undeniable. You've moved on, not out of bitterness, not out of revenge, but because you understand something they're only just beginning to grasp. Clinging to the past holds no value. You've embraced a truth they refuse to see. What's outside your control is not worth your peace of mind. And now that truth is what makes them miss you even more. Before, they mistook your calmness for something ordinary. They assumed your steady presence was just part of who you were, something they didn't have to appreciate. But with distance comes clarity, and now they see the truth. It wasn't just calmness, it was strength. The kind of strength that comes from deep discipline, from self-respect, from a level of peace most people spend their whole lives chasing, and they let it go. Now, here's the key. Their regret is not your burden. You are not responsible for their realization. You are not waiting for them to wake up. Your focus remains exactly where it should be, on the path ahead. You don't dwell on what could have been, because you understand something most people never do. The past cannot be changed. It can only be learned from. And you've learned. You've grown. You've taken everything you experienced and turned it into wisdom. There's a quote from Epictetus: "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." That's exactly what you've done. You've let go. And in doing so, you've freed yourself from the weight that still chains them down. Now, without a single word, you've become unforgettable. Not because you tried to be, not because you forced it, but because the quiet confidence in your actions speaks louder than anything you could ever say. And that silence, the one filled with growth, purpose, and self-respect, is the loudest thing they've ever heard. 4. When stability walks away. They may never have said it outright, but deep down, they leaned on you far more than they realized. You were their rock, the steady presence that kept them grounded when everything else felt chaotic. Your calm wasn't just a trait, it was a force, a quiet kind of strength that made the storms feel less violent, the noise less overwhelming. And now, that force is gone. At first, they might not have noticed. Maybe they thought life would feel the same without you, that things would simply carry on. But then reality set in. The space you once filled, so effortlessly, so naturally, now feels glaringly empty. The contrast is undeniable. Without you, the instability they once ignored is now magnified. And, for the first time, they have to face it alone. There's a moment that always comes after loss, the moment the dust settles, the distractions fade, and the silence gets loud. That's when they start to understand what they had. That's when they realize that what you offered wasn't ordinary. It wasn't something they could replace with a new face, a new conversation, or a temporary escape. Because you didn't just bring presence, you brought peace. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a person perfected without trials." And now they are experiencing their trial, their moment of reckoning. It wasn't just about missing you. It was about the realization that what you gave was rare. You weren't just someone who showed up. You were someone who stabilized, who reassured, who brought clarity where there was once uncertainty. Your presence wasn't loud. It didn't demand attention, but it made all the difference. And now, as they look back, they see it with painful clarity. That sense of security, that feeling of calm, it wasn't something they could find just anywhere. It was you. Most people go through life caught in an endless cycle of chaos, reacting to emotions, chasing temporary relief. But you moved differently. You embodied something stronger, the ability to be still, to be unshaken, to be the calm in the storm. And the truth is, once someone experiences that kind of steadiness, it's not easily forgotten. Your absence doesn't just leave a void, it leaves a lesson about the value of emotional stability, resilience, and inner peace. They may not have appreciated it when they had it, but now it lingers in their thoughts. It echoes in the quiet moments when they realize how much easier life felt with you around. But here's the difference between you and them. While they wrestle with the weight of that loss, You're not looking back. You're not stuck in the past, hoping for recognition, waiting for an apology. You've moved forward, because moving on wasn't just about letting go. It was about honoring your own peace, about refusing to stay in a space where you weren't valued. And now, as you continue to grow, to live, to thrive with purpose and clarity, they're left wondering if they'll ever find that kind of stability again. That rare energy, that irreplaceable steadiness. It's something they'll carry in their thoughts for a long, long time. Because once someone like you has touched their life, the memory lingers. And the absence. It speaks louder than any words ever could. 5. The questions that won't let go. Time moves forward, but their thoughts remain stuck. The mind, once a place of peace, has become a battlefield of unanswered questions. The what-ifs loop endlessly, refusing to fade. What if I had handled things differently? What if I had shown more appreciation? What if I hadn't pushed them away? These aren't fleeting thoughts. They linger, they haunt. And worst of all, there are no answers. That's the nature of regret. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It waits in the quiet moments, creeping in when distractions fade. It turns memories into mirrors, forcing them to see the things they ignored, the moments they brushed off, the choices they can't undo. And then there's your silence. Strong, intentional, unshaken. It's not just an absence, it's a presence that speaks louder than any words ever could. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's exactly what you've done. You've taken control of what you can, yourself, your peace, your direction, and by choosing to move forward, you've forced them to sit with their own choices. Now they're beginning to understand. Your kindness, your patience, your presence, none of it was guaranteed. It wasn't something they were entitled to. It was something they should have valued. But they didn't. And now, the silence they once thought was nothing is everything. Because silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's a mirror, a lesson, a consequence. Think about a book that was abandoned too soon. They flipped through the pages carelessly, assuming they knew how the story would go. But now they realize they skipped over the most important parts. Now they're rereading over and over, searching for something they missed. But it's too late. The book has closed. That's what happens when someone loses something they took for granted. They don't just miss it, they try to make sense of it. They try to piece together what went wrong, hoping to rewrite the past. But the past doesn't change. Only the weight of its lessons does. Your silence has become their teacher, more powerful than any argument, any explanation, any last conversation. Because now there is nothing left but reflection. And reflection is a heavy thing to carry. They might not say it out loud, but deep down they wonder, did I misjudge their value? Did I let go of something rare? These are questions that have no easy answers. And that's the point. But this was never about revenge. It was never about making them regret anything. It was about you, about knowing your worth, about understanding that you don't have to chase anyone to prove it, by embracing the Stoic truth that the only thing you control is yourself. You've set an example they won't forget. You've shown them that your energy isn't something to be wasted, that your peace of mind isn't up for negotiation, that your presence was a gift, not a guarantee. And now, in the quiet of your absence, they're realizing something they never expected. You were a chapter they closed too soon, and now they can't stop rereading it in their mind. 6. When growth becomes unforgettable. What they see now is a version of you they never fully appreciated before. The person they once knew, that person has evolved. You've grown in ways they never anticipated, worked on yourself in silence, and now the results speak louder than anything they could have imagined. You move differently now. There's confidence in your steps, a quiet strength in the way you carry yourself. You don't flinch at challenges, you meet them head-on. You don't seek validation, you validate yourself. And whether you realize it or not, they're watching. Every step forward you take makes them pause, makes them wonder, makes them question everything. Maybe it's the way your career is finally taking off, or how your focus and discipline have transformed your body and mind. Maybe it's your unwavering commitment to self-improvement, to peace, to building a life that isn't just about surviving, but thriving. And now, they feel it. With every achievement, every display of self-assurance, their regret deepens. They start to wonder what life would have been like if they had chosen differently, if they had seen your worth before it was too late. But let's be real. This was never about them. Flourishing isn't about proving someone wrong. It's not about making them regret their choices. It's about proving to yourself that you can rise above any setback, any rejection, any doubt. A person who truly understands their worth doesn't grow to win anyone back. They grow for themselves. They master their emotions, focus on what they can control, and refuse to let the past dictate their future. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In other words, the most powerful response to loss, disappointment, or rejection isn't bitterness. It's success. It's peace. It's living so well that the past becomes irrelevant. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're not looking over your shoulder, wondering if they've noticed. You're too busy creating, improving, becoming. You're too focused on the future to dwell on what was lost. And here's the truth. This version of you, the one who has moved forward and grown, is magnetic. Not just to them, but to everyone you meet. People are drawn to those who radiate self-assurance, who know their worth, who have a clear direction. It's not about being perfect. It never was. It's about showing up day after day as the best version of yourself. So if they can't stop thinking about you now, if they're sitting with their thoughts replaying every moment in their mind, that's their journey to figure out. Yours. Yours is to keep moving forward, keep thriving, keep growing. Not for them, not for anyone else. For you. 7. The echo of your absence. Sometimes your presence in someone's life is like the air they breathe. Constant, reliable, unnoticed. They assume it will always be there, never questioning its value. But the moment you step away, your absence becomes the loudest thing in the room. It's not just the physical space you once occupied, it's the emotional space, the strength you carried, the calm you brought, the sense of stability that made everything feel a little more certain. And now, all of it is gone, and they feel it. Absence has a way of magnifying what was once taken for granted. It's not about bitterness. It's not about making them miss you. It's about honoring your own worth. When you step back, you force them to confront what they ignored. Not just about you, but about themselves. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." And that's exactly what you've done. You no longer need to explain your worth. You don't have to prove anything. You don't chase. You move forward, embodying quiet strength, letting your actions, or rather your absence, speak for itself. And now, they are left with nothing but reflection. When you were there, it was easy to overlook what you brought into their life. But now that you're gone, That void is undeniable. Think of a sturdy tree that provides shade on a hot summer day. People rest beneath its branches, taking its presence for granted, never truly appreciating the comfort it provides. But the moment that tree is gone, the sun becomes unbearable, the heat is relentless, and suddenly they realize just how much they relied on something they never even acknowledged. That's what your absence does. It doesn't shout. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It simply exists, a quiet, inescapable truth that lingers in their mind. And here's the thing, it's not anger that makes them think of you. It's not resentment. It's the realization of what they lost. Your ability to move on, to live with purpose, to focus on your own path. That is the most powerful statement you could ever make. By letting go, you chose peace over chaos, dignity over desperation, and in doing so, you proved something, not just to them, but to yourself. You don't chase what isn't meant for you. You don't beg for recognition. You don't cling to something that refuses to see your worth. And now they're left with the echoes of who you were in their life. It's not easy for them, but that's not your burden to carry. Your only task is to continue forward, unshaken, focused, resilient. Because the truth is, losing you wasn't just losing a person. It was losing something rare, something they may never find again. So keep walking, keep growing, not out of spite, not for revenge, but because that's what strong people do. And trust me, your absence has already spoken louder than any words ever could. 8. When the past comes knocking. At first, it's subtle. A like on an old photo you forgot even existed. A casual text that feels oddly out of place. A mutual friend mentioning that they've been asking about you. Small gestures, seemingly harmless, but deeply intentional. They're testing the waters, wondering if the door they once walked away from might still be open. Hoping in some quiet way that you'll respond, that you'll give them a reason to believe they still hold space in your world. But here's the shift. Your response is different now. Not cold, not bitter, just indifferent. Because you're no longer the same person they left behind. You've grown. You've built something that most people never find. Peace within yourself. And that peace, it's not something you're willing to trade for nostalgia or unfinished conversations. This isn't about playing games. It's not about revenge. It's about protecting what you worked so hard to build. Your focus is no longer on what was or what could have been. It's on what lies ahead. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that's exactly what you've done. You're not shutting them out of anger. You're simply choosing to prioritize your peace over old wounds. You've learned that not every door needs to be reopened. Not every bridge is worth crossing again. A strong person doesn't burn bridges, but they also don't stand at the edge waiting for someone to return. Some bridges, no matter how promising they once seemed, lead only to chaos if crossed again. So instead of reacting, instead of getting caught in the same cycle, you step back. You continue forward. You focus on your growth. And in that space you've created, something unexpected happens. They start to see what they once overlooked. Your silence, your calm, your unwavering focus. It's not what they expected. They thought you'd still be there, still waiting, still hoping for them to return. But you're not. You've outgrown that version of yourself. And now, that realization sits with them. Because nothing makes someone question their choices more than seeing someone they once knew become untouchable. It's not about making them feel regret. It's not about making them miss you. It's about living authentically, leading with strength, and letting the chips fall where they may. Some people will learn from it, some won't. But that's not your burden to carry. Your journey is forward, not back. And in that, there is freedom. 9. When respect replaces doubt. At first, they didn't see it. The qualities that made you exceptional were overlooked, misunderstood, or dismissed. Maybe they thought your discipline was rigidity, your resilience, stubbornness, your quiet strength. Just another trait they didn't need to acknowledge. But now, as you've stepped away and focused on your own growth, something has shifted. The things they once ignored now stand out like rare gems. Your ability to remain calm under pressure. Your steady focus, unwavering and deliberate. Your quiet, unshaken confidence in who you are and where you're going. And suddenly, they can't stop thinking about it. Every time they hear about your latest achievement, every glimpse they catch of the life you're building, it stirs something inside them. Because now they see it for what it really is. Your discipline? It's not stubbornness. It's the mark of someone who knows exactly who they are and what they want. Your resilience? It's not rigidity. It's an anchor in a world full of fleeting connections and shallow intentions. And now they realize something they never considered before. Finding someone with your depth, your presence, your unwavering sense of self is not just rare, it might be impossible. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." And that's exactly what you've done. You stopped seeking validation. You stopped trying to prove your worth. You no longer explain yourself to people who failed to understand your value when they had the chance. Instead, you took control of the only things that ever truly mattered: your actions, your mindset, and your choices. And in doing so, you became something more. A person of substance. A person whose value doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. Your silence and absence. They were never about playing games. They were the natural result of a person too focused on their own growth to dwell on the past. But here's the irony. The very act of moving forward, of choosing yourself, has created a pull they can't escape. And now, they admire you. But admiration, when mixed with regret, is a complicated thing. Because deep down they know the person you've become, the person you always were, might no longer be theirs to hold. And so here you are, embodying a truth most people never understand. A person's greatest power lies in how they carry themselves, not in chasing, not in proving, not in convincing, but in simply showing up every single day, fully in control of who they are and where they're going. Strength, calm, self-respect. These are forces more magnetic than any words ever spoken. They draw people in, even those who once doubted you. But the real beauty? You're not doing it for them. You never were. You're doing it because it's who you are. And that is the most irresistible thing of all. Let this be a reminder. When you commit to being the best version of yourself, others will notice. Some will admire you. Some will regret losing you. But the most important thing, you will know your worth. And that is a power no one can ever take away. 10. When jealousy speaks louder than words. They see it now, on social media, through mutual friends, in quiet moments when they least expect it. You've moved on, you're thriving, maybe you're even with someone new. And for them, it's not just a passing thought. It's a weight, a slow, creeping realization that tightens in their chest, whispering questions they can't silence. What do they have that I didn't? What made them deserving of the version of you I couldn't hold on to? And just like that, jealousy becomes their quiet battle. Not because they want to, but because the truth is inescapable. What was once theirs is now someone else's. But this isn't just about you being with someone new. It runs deeper than that. It's about the realization that they let go of someone they now see as irreplaceable, that their choices, once made so confidently, now carry an unexpected weight. And the worst part, there's nothing they can do to change it. This is where the power of moving forward shines the brightest. Because this was never about revenge, never about making them regret their decisions. It was always about you, your growth, your peace, your ability to build a life that no longer needs validation from the past. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." And in this case, the best response to rejection or loss isn't bitterness. It isn't trying to make them miss you. It's simply living well, so well that the strength of your presence is felt even in your absence. You move forward with grace, carrying yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who no longer looks back. Not because you've forgotten them, but because you've accepted that their chapter in your story has ended. This isn't just about relationships. It's about personal transformation. The moment you stop trying to control how others perceive you and instead focus on mastering your own emotions, actions, and mindset, you unlock something most people never will: freedom. Because a person who truly understands their worth doesn't chase approval. They don't need validation. They don't allow external events or opinions to dictate their inner peace. And that's what makes them unforgettable. Moving on isn't about pretending they never mattered. It's about recognizing that what once was no longer is. It's about choosing to write the next chapter of your life with purpose and intention. And when they finally realize that someone else now gets to experience the version of you they once took for granted, that's when it truly sinks in. But here's the difference. You're not here to explain. You're not here to justify. Your actions, your growth, your presence, they speak louder than any words ever could. So you keep building, keep evolving, keep focusing on what truly matters, your passions, your goals, your peace of mind. Because when you embrace this mindset, you're not just moving on, you're moving up. And whether or not they can get you off their mind, that becomes irrelevant. Because you've already found the freedom that comes from letting go. 11. The version of you they can't reach. Let me tell you something powerful. The person they can't stop thinking about doesn't exist anymore. The version of you they remember so vividly, that chapter is closed. The past they keep replaying in their mind, it no longer holds power over you. Because you've changed. You didn't just endure the pain, the lessons, the solitude. You used them. You turned every setback into strength, every heartbreak into wisdom. While they're caught up in old memories, stuck in what used to be, you've been out here rewriting your story. You've been shaping yourself into someone who is no longer defined by what happened, but by how they chose to rise above it. And that's the beauty of real growth. It's not just about moving forward, it's about transformation. Now, when they look back, it's not because they want to revisit the past. It's because the present version of you is someone they can't ignore. But here's the difference. You're not focused on them. You're not dwelling on what could have been. Instead, you've turned inward. You've found strength in accepting what you couldn't change and focusing on what you could, yourself. That's the kind of person who stands out, the kind who becomes unforgettable, not because they chased validation, not because they tried to prove a point, but because they became someone rooted in their own sense of purpose. Seneca once said, Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. And that's exactly what happened. Your growth wasn't an accident. It wasn't luck. It was a choice. There were nights when you questioned everything. Mornings when it felt easier to stay the same. But you didn't. You pushed forward. You embraced the discomfort. You let every hard moment refine you. And now, while they struggle with the idea that you've truly moved on, you are living proof of what it means to thrive. Picture this. They're scrolling through old photos, hearing your name in conversation, or catching glimpses of the life you've built. What they feel isn't just nostalgia, it's a realization. The person they let go of isn't coming back, and the person you've become, they no longer have access to them. That's the silent power of moving on. Not to make them regret, not to prove anything, but to remind yourself of how far you've come. Your growth isn't about anyone else. It's about stepping into the person you were always meant to be. And as you continue on this path, remember, every moment of resilience, every decision to let go, every step forward makes you stronger. The past has no hold on you anymore, and that's exactly why they can't stop thinking about you.